everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a delicious cherry cake. Now, I've tested this recipe for the past 2 weeks and they came out perfectly. The traditional way to make this is with a sponge cake base, but when I went to film this recipe a few days ago, it didn't work. So you know me, all my recipes on this channel are foolproof. They work every time, and even if I went through the hassle of filming a video, I will never put it out if it doesn't work. So I made the batter a little more dense like a coffee cake, and I'm bringing to you a cherry coffee cake. So delicious, it's gonna have a nice light streusel topping, juicy fresh cherries, and they're in season right now. Let's begin by making the streusel because we're gonna have to chill that a little bit, and let's go over those ingredients first. For the streusel, we need some all-purpose flour, granulated sugar, and a little pinch of salt. We're gonna need some slivered sliced almonds and some melted unsalted butter. And basically you combine all of these things together. Let me just mix these dry ingredients together and just pop them in the butter bowl. And I'll also put these almonds in here and just mix it all up. And this is going to create a fantastic crumble. Now you can double, triple, or even quadruple this recipe and store it in your freezer, and then you could just sprinkle it on any cake when you're baking or any muffins or cupcakes, because who does not like some streusel on their cake? So I'm just going to pop this in the freezer just for a little while until it chills. We're going to need some unsalted butter, some yogurt. This is plain yogurt, or you can use vanilla yogurt. 4 large eggs. We're going to use the zest of a lemon, semolina flour, some granulated sugar. In here we have all-purpose flour, a little bit of salt, and some baking powder, some fresh cherries, vanilla, and almond extract. Next, we're going to remove the pits from these cherries. Now to do that, you're going to need a cherry stoner, and I'll link this on my store, on my Amazon store, on my website. It's a very cool little gadget that makes this step so much easier. You want to have 2 bowls, one to catch the pits and one to hold the cherries. And do not wear white for this, you guys. Make sure you're wearing something dark because this does splatter everywhere. And have a little bit of all-purpose flour and sugar. I'm just going to put this over my cherries and just mix them up to coat them. This is going to help keep the cherries from sinking to the bottom of the batter when we put them on top in a little bit. I'm going to set this aside. Now I'm just going to combine my dry ingredients together. So again, I have my all-purpose flour, salt, and baking powder. I'm going to put my semolina flour. This is finely ground semolina flour. Try to get that and not the coarsely ground one. The semolina flour makes for a really nice texture in the cake. So we're just going to sift this through to catch any hard bits. And I'm going to zest some lemon on top. Now I did forget that I was also supposed to zest some lemon into the streusel, so you guys go ahead and do that. Basically, we don't want this to be a very lemony cake because we want the flavor of the cherry to shine through. So I'm just going to use about 1/3 of the zest from this lemon. And you could just put like about a teaspoon of lemon zest in your streusel topping. I'm going to set that aside. So in my mixing bowl, I have the whisk attachment. The butter is nice and soft. I'm going to go ahead and add the granulated sugar with a teaspoon of pure almond extract because almonds and cherries go very nicely together. That's a teaspoon right there, and a teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. And I'm going to whisk this together until it's nice and incorporated and fluffy. Make sure to stop in between and scrape the sides of the bowl, but that's what it should look like. I've cracked all my eggs and I put them in a nice little small mixing bowl, and I'm just going to add them while the mixer is going at low speed, medium speed actually. One at a time we'll try to do this. And then beat it until it's all incorporated. It's going to look a little bit separated. Don't worry at all. This is all going to come together once the flour goes in, but at this point I'm going to add my yogurt. Always use full-fat yogurt, you guys. It just makes a huge difference. And then I'm just going to put the mixer back on and whip this up until everything is combined. And while the mixer is running on low speed, so you don't end up wearing all this, go ahead and add the flour mixture a little bit at a time until it's all incorporated. And that's it. The batter is ready. And before you put this into your prepared pan, just go ahead and take a spatula and just mix it 2 or 3 times, not too much. You don't want this to turn to bread, just to get the things that are stuck to the sides or the bottom of the bowl. That's it, that's good. I have a springform cheesecake pan here. Really all that is a pan that separates the top and the bottom come apart. I like to make my coffee cake in this because it makes for a very elegant presentation. I'm going to put all of the batter in here. I've brushed it with melted butter, the pan that is, so that way the cake comes out easily. Just spread it evenly into your pan. Now it's time to add the cherries. Go ahead and put the cherries in. The best way to do this is to put the cherries sideways because they're going to look really pretty once they're baked. And you can press them in. This is a lovely thick batter, and they should not sink to the bottom this time. I'm saying this time because you guys didn't see last time. Last time I filmed this, all the cherries sank to the bottom. I mean, the cake tasted good and all, but this one tastes way better. And now just take this lovely streusel and just tuck it in to the little gaps in between the cherries. The oven is preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. The rack is set to the center of the oven so that way it bakes evenly. I'm going to bake this for about an hour to an hour and 10 minutes. At the hour mark, go in and take a skewer and put it in the center of the cake. If it comes out clean, then it's ready. If there's still some batter attached to it, then go ahead and bake it a little longer. Again, it depends on your oven, between an hour to an hour and 10, maybe 15 minutes or so. Take it out and then let it cool completely before you go and release it from the pan. And I'll show you what it looks like as soon as it's ready. The cake is ready. It took an hour and 10 minutes to bake. Now once it comes out of the oven, make sure you run a knife around the cake so that way it can slightly release from the sides of the pan. Do not take it out of the pan until it cools completely. Set it aside. It's going to take about 15 or 20 minutes, but it will be worth the wait. Then release it from the pan. Put it on a beautiful serving platter. Dust it with some confectioner sugar or powdered sugar, whatever you call it on your part of the world. And go ahead and cut a slice, make a hot cup of tea or coffee, and serve it. This is the perfect dessert to serve along with coffee after a dinner party. It's also fabulous to make for brunch if you're hosting a brunch. This is the dessert you're going to want to make, especially if cherries are in season. I made myself a hot cup of tea. I'm going to go ahead and take a bite because it smells fantastic and it looks moist and delicious. Let's see. All of the flavors. The lemon, you can barely taste it, but it's nice and bright in the background. Almond and cherries go so good together. I love the semolina flour in this because it gave it sort of like a ravani texture. If you've had ravani, it's that syrupy Greek classic cake, but this is without the syrup, so it's extra light. The streusel on top, it's buttery and delicious, and the crisp from the almonds is just perfect on this. I think you guys are gonna love it. The cherries, of course, add that really nice tang, and I love cherries, you guys. If you have them in season, go ahead and make this cake. Print the recipe on the website, www.dimitrasdishes.com. Share pictures with me on Facebook and Instagram, and let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for spending time with me today. I'll see you all next time. Yes, Zest.